Please join us in welcoming to the stage Sarah Fisher, Rhea Ripley, Kofi Kingston, and The Undertaker.
Wow. Yeah. Ordinarily.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for what's going to be an all-star fun conversation about some of the folks who have the biggest fan bases, not just here in the US, but around the world. I'm so lucky to be joined by The Undertaker, Rhea, and Kofi to talk about their rise to stardom and how they're connecting with fans. And so let's just start off with sort of the big picture thoughts here. You know, WWE is a global brand. It's 365 days a year. It's 24/7. Like, Rhea, you just hop off a plane. You're never, ever ending. You're creating a ton of content. How do you all, and I'll start with you, Rhea, how do you keep track of all of the different storylines that are being written for you at all times? Do you ever forget something that you yourself were a part of even just like a few months ago?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I forget little bits and pieces. Maybe it's something that I said the week before. Maybe it's something that I did, especially since a lot of the time I am on the whole show, like the start, the middle, the finish, because I'm a part of the Judgment Day. So we have a lot of stories going on within our group. So there are little bits and pieces that sometimes I forget. But then at the same time, once I get in the zone and I go out there, things start coming back and trickling back into my brain. And I sort of like just flip the switch and just keep going with that sort of thing.
Kofi, the WWE is like part sport, part entertainment, part sitcom. It's its own league when it comes to entertainment. Do you consider yourself more of an athlete or an actor or an entertainer? Is there one that surpasses them all?
I think I do them all very well. You know what I'm saying? No, if you want to be a WWE superstar and have any kind of success, especially in this day and age, you have to be able to do everything. You know, you have to be able to go out there and entertain. For those of you who know who I am and what I do with my boys, The New Day, I normally come out initially and shake some hips and twerk. There was no music, so I'm sorry for shortchanging you, you know. But, you know, we come out and we have to be able to do it all. Because you show up to work one day and you don't know what's needed. You know, you might be in the role of making someone laugh or going out and being serious and doing something that's very, you know, emotional. You just don't know what you're going to do, so you have to be good at everything.
While I'm at it with you here, your character, to me at least, feels like it can be a very positive character, a very inspirational character. Rhea, your character is kind of the opposite. It sometimes is like the demonic character. How do you feel about playing into a persona one way or another that is assigned to you?
I mean, for me, my character persona per se is honestly just a version of myself. I go out there, I have fun, I do things that I want to do, I react ways that I want to react. A lot of the time, I don't realize what I'm doing until I watch it back and I'm like, oh, yo, that was sort of out of pocket. Like, I can't believe I just did that on live TV. But something just, I don't know, it takes over in me. And yeah, I'm a bit of a menace when I go out on Raw and SmackDown, and I can't help it, where Kofi's a lot nicer than I am. I try and bite people's fingers and stuff, and you just try and dance with them.
Yeah, I give them pancakes, so it's a little bit different. But I think that's the great thing about WWE is that there's something for everybody. You know, all different types of characters. You always are able to find someone that you can relate to, and the more like diverse that the cast is, the better the product is for everybody that gets to watch.
Undertaker, you have seen it all. You've been with this organization for decades. You are a legend when it comes to wrestling. And what Kofi was saying was that there's something for everybody in WWE. Right now, WWE is exploring a possible sale. And I think a big question for a lot of people who might be looking at it is, well, who is the audience? And you've seen it evolve, that audience, so much over the past few decades. How would you answer that question?
Well, first I'm going to just start out with, I think the WWE audience is by far the best audience out there. And I know every other sport and entertainment genre, you know, they can probably say the same thing, but I don't believe there's anybody quite as passionate as the WWE Universe. And I think one of the reasons for that is there is something for everyone, right? So you have Mr. Positive Energy down there. You got the bad girl. You got this guy who, you know, who's buried people for, you know, 30 plus years. But there's something within our characters that somebody identifies with. And it's another thing with our audience. I think, you know, it's not everybody's like a football fan, right? But somebody will say, if you're in a conversation and someone says, yeah, I love football. Okay, yeah, that's cool. You get respected. A lot of times with our audience, you know, they get a little bit chastised because not everybody is into wrestling, right? And then our audience has to defend themselves, right? Yeah, I love wrestling. And I think because of that, you know, they are so much more invested in these characters because they've had to kind of defend us and do all these different things. And there is a special bond that people have, you know, with their superstars and whoever you're drawn to. I'd tell you what, I'm so proud of our fan base because like I said, they're so invested and they are probably the most loyal of any entertainment genre.
Just following up on that, what does the fan base look like today that is different from when you first started out?
Well, the fan base, more so when I started and the eras before mine, you only pretty much got what you saw on TV, right? Now, I think there's almost as big a interest, not only what's going on the shows and in the ring, but what's going on in people's personal lives because of social media and all of the drama. I mean, people eat that stuff up. It's crazy, and there's plenty of it, right? I mean, there's plenty of drama, but with social media, you know, I think our audience, not only are they invested in these characters, now they're invested in the human being too. So it wasn't like that. You know, it was when I came up, I mean, it was what you saw on TV is what you got, and there just wasn't all of the exposure and all the content and everything else. So, I mean, it really is probably the best time to be a fan is right now. I mean, because you get it all. You get what's on TV, you get the personal, you get everything. And yeah, it's amazing how far the industry and the fan base has come.
Totally. And to that point about seeing it all, the 360 view, I think one of the challenges might be, and Rhea, this is my question for you, how do you balance being your actual self, the person who you were born as, versus the character that you play in a WWE setting? And I ask because sometimes I look at your Instagrams, like if you're just coming out of the gym and you don't have makeup on, and I'm like, I don't even know which one is this person. So are you trying to be both or no?
I mean, I have a bit of a mixture. As for like my gym photos, like you said, I post it, I look completely different to how I look on TV. I look completely different to how I look right now. But the way that I like word my captions and all of that, it's still in a very like me/Rhea Ripley sort of way. So I'm still trying to be Rhea Ripley, but be myself because technically like we're the same person. She's just the version of me that would probably be arrested in everyday life if I actually acted like that. But deep down, like that's who I am as well. I just can't get away with being like that 24/7. But when it comes to social media, I'm definitely like, I want to say a little bit more positive, and I try and like uplift people. Like I'm always sharing fan art and talking to people online and just trying to let them know that it's okay to be themselves, because that's the one thing that not only me as myself, but Rhea Ripley stands for as well. Rhea Ripley is very, very different to everyone else. I wear the dark makeup. I'm very like gothic sort of looking. Everyone picks on that. And I like to show everyone that it's okay to be themselves and to be confident in their own skin And it doesn't matter what people say or think about you. You just have to be you and be genuine, and your life is going to be absolutely amazing for it because you're not going to care what anyone says or thinks. And that's something that I really try to portray more on social media as well.
And then when it comes to that character that is you know, the purple makeup, mommy, that was not always you. Like, you started out in a very different character portrayal. How did you get from being sort of the blonde, like kind of typical WWE looking fighter to now being this sort of like dominatrix, you know, gauges in your ears type of fighter?
It's all about confidence, really. When I first started in NXT, I was a part of the first ever Mae Young Classic. I had the long blonde hair, I looked like a beachy Australian girl, and I knew who I was as a person, but coming over to America and being all alone, being 20 years old, I really just wanted to please everyone. I wanted to do my job right, and I wanted to fit in and sort of just like scrape by, but also make a statement in a way. But I was scared to do anything that was too different. And the year between the first Mae Young Classic and the second Mae Young Classic, I went through a lot. In my personal life, in my work life, my confidence was absolutely shattered. I didn't know if I wanted to wrestle anymore. I was a very, very broken human being. And I sort of had to just like sit down and reflect and like talk to myself in a way and just be like, you've worked for so long to get here. Do not give up now. So I promised myself not to care what anyone said about me, what anyone thought about me. I was just going to do what I thought was good for me, and that's where the Rhea Ripley that you see today sort of came from. I cut my hair. Everyone loved the long blonde hair. They thought the whole thing was like, females should have long hair. That's the beauty standard for females. Hell no. I wasn't going to fit in anymore. I was going to cut my hair. I was going to show every little girl out there, every woman out there, that they can rock the short hair and look absolutely stunning doing it. We don't have to conform to society. So that was a big step for me, cutting my hair, and then obviously dressing the way that I want to dress. I listen to a lot of bands and I take a lot of inspiration from them, like Motionless in White. I absolutely love Motionless in White. I love Chris Motionless. It's a band that I've listened to for a long, long time, since like high school times. And I take a lot of inspiration from Chris. The way that he walks, the way that he reacts, the way that he pulls face expressions while he's singing. I've pulled a lot of bits and pieces from him and my other bands, and I sort of just grown into the Rhea Ripley that you've seen today, but it's still who I am as a person.
That is so insightful that you draw a lot of the inspiration from bands that you like. Kofi, where do you draw inspiration to develop the character that you are?
Oh man, geez, it's kind of like whatever I think is cool. I'm really into video games. You'll notice that, we wear a lot of video game inspired gear out there. I like martial arts movies. A lot of the moves that I do come from like old school kung fu movies, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee type stuff like that. So really, it's anything that is cool to me. I try to figure out a way that I can incorporate that into my character and then maybe put that in a move or even in a promo. Sometimes like on social media, you'll have certain things that'll like pop off, Myself, Woods and E take a lot of pride in having our finger on the pulse of pop culture. So a lot of the early New Day stuff, when we would come out and we would speak, we would say something that was almost like, it was for like a small part of the audience, but those people that did understand what we were saying would like rock so hard with us. And the next week we had do the same thing with another part of the audience. And just by doing that, like you just prove to be like relatable. What's going on in people's lives because you're laughing at the same things that they're laughing at. So anything that we can do really to make people feel like they are a part of the show, not just come to the show and watch the show. You know what I mean? We want people to feel like they're a part of the show. All of our like catchphrases are all about crowd participation. Your boy's the New Day. All of us say that. When we say who, the entire crowd starts saying who, like owls with us. So really anything that we can do to like bring people together and put smiles on their faces is where the inspiration comes from.
Can we draw on the gaming part a little bit? You know, Undertaker was saying that there has been an evolution from being just a linear TV product to now having a huge social media presence, having a gaming presence, what you do on YouTube. How has gaming changed the audience engagement with WWE?
Well, there's a lot of overlap between gamers and WWE fans. So Xavier Woods, my tag team partner, came up with the idea to create a YouTube channel, Up, Up, Down, Down. If you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe, you know. They're actually in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's fastest growing YouTube gaming channel in the history of planet Earth. So that's my friend that thought about doing that and executed it to perfection. I think we're at like 2.5 million subscribers. So yeah, I think the cool thing about it is Taker was talking about social media, and what it really has done is opened up like the door that has been kind of like closed. The wrestling industry was built on so much secrecy, right? You never knew like who was like really friends or whatever, you know, we didn't know like what the inner goings on were. So I remember as a kid, like I would have loved to know like what Taker was doing in his everyday life. And I had no access.
No, you don't.
We had no, or maybe, you know, maybe it was better that I didn't, but we had no access to that. Now, social media really kind of opens up that door. So, you know, again, it makes people feel like they do the same things that we do. So video games are a huge part of that because we play games on Up, Up, Down, Down, and we get so incredibly competitive. We're talking trash to each other, you know. It's a real, like, bragging right to beat somebody in a video game, especially when it's on film, high def television, or, you know, on YouTube. Now I can loop this forever and let you know about the time that I beat you. And this is like, these are things that people do with their friends at home. Like they talk trash when they're playing video games with each other. They have fun playing video games. So to be able to connect those dots, I guess, is huge. It's huge because it confirms the fact that WWE superstars are just like everyday people. They do the same things that everyday people do. We have the same interests, and it makes you feel that much closer to the people that you cheer for.
Totally. Taker and I, just the same, everyday people.
Same.
Taker, the one medium we haven't talked about is streaming. You know, WWE was one of the first to the game in 2014 with creating WWE Network, sunsetted it, launched this massive partnership, a 5-year deal with Peacock. Would love your thoughts on how streaming has changed the fan engagement with WWE.
Well, it's incredible because, again, I mean, I go back a long way. When, you know, our fan base today, they weren't there and they couldn't, you know, necessarily see that. So you have all of this content now that our new fans can go back and you know, because they've always heard, well, what about the Attitude Era and all this? So now they have all this content coming in that they can draw, and it's just amazing. And then it helps them you know, put together how far we've come and what we've done through all of these years. And just, I mean, it's obviously, I think we've only scratched the surface with streaming and where that's going to go. Just the whole business model has changed. You know, as now I'm kind of almost, you know, me now, I'm kind of an outsider looking in at all this, and it's just, it really is amazing from, again, where I came in to where we're at now. And it's such a, just the business model and all of these different, you know, forms of revenue that come in, and just the revenue that comes in, but also the you know, the content and everything that's out there for people to watch. It's just, I mean, I would have never, you know, I never had that kind of vision, right? I would have never imagined when I came in, when I got in the wrestling business in the late 80s, that we would be in, you know, 2023 with all of this, you know, the technology and all the social media, the streaming and everything. It's just, it just continues to strengthen our industry. And, you know, I'm a dinosaur. I mean, I'm as old school as they come, but even, you know, even an old school guy has to just sit back and go, well played, well done. I mean, it really is fascinating. All the, just the different ways that we can put our content out there.
Mm-hmm. And to the WWE's credit, you've taken advantage of these technologies as they've come, which is why you've been ahead of the times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think WWE is so far ahead of everyone. It's just, I'm just kind of running through my head. Once the WWE started streaming and doing all of these things, we started with pay-per-view, and we were ahead of the game with pay-per-view, and now with streaming and everything else, I think we kind of set the pace for all these different avenues, and it's just again, there's just the WWE is such a global juggernaut of ways to expand our product, and like I said, I think they're head and shoulders above anybody else as far as doing that.
We heard from Rhea and from Kofi about their sort of character journeys. Would love to get some reflection from you on your character journey from when you started out to sort of where you are now.
Character? What character? No, so my character, it's kind of mine was, I did things a little differently, and I was able to do it because, again, it was not easy, but many people who know me know that I lived my character. And if you saw me in an airport, you may not have seen the hat and the coat, but you saw a different kind of version of the hat and coat. I mean, it was, that was, in my mind, I had to project this image that I never wanted people to see me and go, I wanted people to think that's who I was at all times. I didn't want them to think that I was playing a character. I wanted them to go, that Undertaker, man, I don't know, man, he's messed up. Something's wrong with him, right? But that was in my head, that was how I was going to make that character credible. And, I drew on different things as well. Anything dark, like from music, I would listen, and I got this from Jake the Snake Roberts, who was just a brilliant mind in this industry. I was traveling with him, and he would have a little recorder, and he would hear a lyric from a song. And I'll be damned if in the next interview that he would do, he would have a lyric. I'm just trying to kind of off the top of my head, like War Pigs, by Ozzy, right? I mean, it's like, how I'm trying to think of the actual lyric, but where they're talking about witches and black mass, he would somehow be able to incorporate a lyric into a promo that he was cutting on somebody, and I just thought, wow, that's brilliant. And so I did the same thing. I got a recorder, and I was always listening to different genres of music and looking not so much for a melody or I was always looking for the kicker, like, well, how can I take that and use it in something that the Undertaker would say. And then also I studied horror, just Michael Myers and all of these different Jason Voorhees, and I took all those little nuances of those characters and figured out how the Undertaker could use that. And so there, my character was pretty dark. I mean, it's not every day that people talk about taking your soul and worms eating on your rotting flesh, and it worked. It worked for a little while. But now where I'm at now, I get approached to do things now, and they were like, well, where's the hat and the coat? I was like, the hat and the coat's gone. That guy, I had to, because of my loyalty to that character and what it did and what it meant in the business, I don't think that I can go out one day and do like my One Dead Man show where I'm talking like this and trying to be funny and entertaining and then go back and put the coat on. That's just, many people like, what's it matter? Everybody knows what's going on. I have more respect for the character and the legacy of that character that I can't do that anymore. So this is where we're at now. More of it's kind of a hybrid between the Undertaker and the American Badass and all of that. And, now I don't, I just get back to sit back and watch these guys do it and enjoy what they're doing and, talk bad about them behind their back. Like, that's not how I would have done it, but video games, Jesus.
You don't like video games.
This is what you have to look forward to. One day you can sit in this seat.
Be the crotchety old guy.
Exactly. But, okay, to your credit, crotchety old guy, you are still doing some innovative things. You and Kofi are doing the Netflix show, which is streaming and it's new. Like, I'd love both of your perspectives on how you think about the character playing in a show about it versus when you're doing like an actual wrestling event. Kofi, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it's great to be able to do that. I mean, even shooting it was great because our characters are so different, right? And it's called Escape.
You think?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you get a good twerk if you got your hands on your knees.
Don't dare me.
Oh, let's save that. Let's save it. But Escape the Undertaker on Netflix. But it's so great because our characters are just so different. So just seeing us like interact and like us first pulling up to the house is us like kind of all happy clappy. Oh, what are we doing here? Hey, the door's open. Let's go in. Oh, this is Taker's house. And then over time, like we just realized that we shouldn't have been in there in the first place, and we pay for it. So it's just a matter of like knowing your character really, and being able to bring that to the table to the fullest to the fullest extent. So it just works, So yeah.
Just broadly speaking, and maybe Kofi, if you want to answer this because you're into gaming, but I open it to anyone. Clearly, the fandom of WWE is unmatched. And there's a lot of opportunities for what WWE can do with that. There was a report out this week that WWE is exploring potentially betting along some of these characters and storylines. Like, Kofi, what do you think of that? Do you think that the fans would be really excited about it? Do you think it'd be successful? I mean, you see it from a gaming perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds great to me. You know what I mean? The funny thing is that, and we were just kind of like laughing about this, but the show that you guys see on television, I don't think that everyone has an appreciation for, like, the fact that it even got out in such a successful manner, because there's so much going on backstage. Like, we're told that we're going to be doing one thing. By the time we get to the curtain, it's complete opposite. Then we get into the ring, then we're told we have half the time to do it, and it's got to be the opposite. So then we have to kind of like work on, just on improv and instinct, and somehow, some way, it always comes off without a hitch. So, I don't know. I think like betting on the matches would be interesting because we legit have no idea which way they're gonna go. We don't have nearly as much knowledge about it as people think that we do. But I don't know. Somebody let me in on it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we might be able to work something out. We might be able to work it out. Okay,
but to Kofi's point, Rhea, about not knowing which direction things are going in, this is a weird hybrid because in some ways it's scripted, and so people are writing what storylines they want to go where, but some things you just can't even script. If someone falls a certain way after you meet them in the match and in the ring, you can't necessarily script that. So how do you balance making sure you're staying on script, but then also living in the moment enough that your fans feel like it's real and authentic?
It's really hard to actually put into words. You sort of just go out there, and we've trained for those moments. We've trained for things coming up that are unexpected. Sort of like I want to go back to the Mae Young Classic when Tegan Knox got injured. She did a dive, she landed weird on the ramp, and her knee pretty much exploded, which means that I had to go on to the next round and I had to take on Io Shirai. That wasn't expected for me. So it's one of those things where, like, you've trained so hard to be on the platform that you're on, and it's more of like a professional sort of thing. You go out there and you just listen and you adapt and you work together in a way, but you just get the job done while still making it entertaining for everyone and hoping that people don't eat you alive afterwards for it. But yeah.
Don't read the comments.
Yeah. Stay away from the comment section. But yeah, it's just like we've trained to be professional athletes in this business, and it's sort of something that you just have to be used to. And if not, you get used to it on the road, and things always come up and things happen. So you gradually just get better and better at overcoming these obstacles.
Taker, final question from you as we're running out of time. I don't think most people appreciate how physically draining this profession is outside of the match. Flying on all these planes, going from a different event to a different event, doing media interviews. I mean, Rhea was saying that she can spend up to 2 hours in hair and makeup in a day. So what is the real life experience of a WWE superstar that people don't get to see?
I don't think people really appreciate just the demand on time, and I think things are run differently now, and they're more efficient. In my heyday in the 90s, I had about an 8-year stretch where I averaged 250 to 270 dates a year. I mean, and that's a different city every day. I had one stretch where I wrestled 45 days in a row. So I think a lot of times people watch, maybe not so much now because they're they're so smart and they know everything that's going on, but I don't think they really appreciate the fact they see the TV, what's happening on TV, but they don't really think about the live events and the travel that it takes to get there and the amount of time that it takes to get through an airport, because everywhere you go, again, our fan base is so strong. These are the most recognizable, probably the most recognizable entertainer athletes in the world, because there's so much content that we have, and we're on Monday nights, we're on Tuesday nights, we're on Friday nights, our pay-per-views, all of our social media content, all the stream. So, I mean, more so than football players, anybody else, these are the most recognizable people in entertainment. So trying to get into an airport, get checked in, and trying to get to your gate, and you trying to, you have to engage when people come up to you. And, I think most people don't really understand that, you have to eat and you have to get, people see you and then they think, well, God, I got to get a picture. I got to get an autograph, And I'll have to say, again, I'm a little biased, but I think the WWE superstars are probably the most, what's the word I'm looking for? But they take those opportunities and try and give people experiences just about whenever and however they can. And it's important because our fan base is loyal to us, and we try to do that. But I don't think, most people on the day-to-day realize everything that's going into what they're going to see on TV or what they're going to see in that live event, and everything that has to, you get up early in the morning, you catch a flight, you go to the next town, you got to rent a car, then you have to go find a gym, and because you have to keep have to keep everything rolling. You have to find food, and you're in cities that you don't really understand. There's a lot more that goes on, and then for the women, and well, hell, I wore makeup too. I mean, did all right with it too, but those demands, and you've got what, 5-6 women on a live event probably.
Yeah, about that.
So all that they have to all make time, because you only have certain amount of makeup artists and people that do hair and all those different things. So it is a huge ordeal on a day-to-day. And then when you, this is not really what you ask, but you couple all of those different things, and within any given match, and this is what most people don't realize, that within any given match, on any given night, you're probably 2 inches away at some point in that match from something really catastrophic happening. That's how good these people are. Because they go do it night after night after night. And that exponentially, increases the risk. And that's just, and they, they work hurt. And again, our medical, that's another evolution that's happened, is just how well our athletes are treated now. It wasn't always like that. Our facilities and our training and our doctors are just as good as any other sports franchise. But that's a kind of a sidebar, and I just wanted to get that out because I don't think people appreciate that kind of stuff enough for what these guys are out here doing now. But it is a huge responsibility to get from point A in the morning to to that final product where you're going out in front of a live audience. I just don't think a lot of people give enough appreciation because we're usually responsible for our own travel and doing all that stuff once we get there. So it is a process, and it is just another way that our guys are dedicated to go out and perform.
Wow, and to have the empathy to stop and take the fan photo while you are behind the scenes so stressed about finding food and finding a gym and finding a hotel. It's pretty remarkable. Just to sort of wrap up some of the things that we talked about today, Rhea, I like what you said about your character being a version of your actual self. It makes it easy to slip into character when you're not totally denying the person that you actually are. Taker, you've spoken a lot today about how WWE's audience you believe is the most loyal and the most passionate, and I have seen it for myself. It is definitely a very passionate audience, for sure. Talking about the evolution from just being a linear TV product to now doing streaming, gaming, as Kofi was talking about, social media. Rhea has over 2 million followers on Instagram and just launched a TikTok, if you all want to go take a follow. And then now, Kofi, you said that you are, when I asked about betting, it sounds great to me, so we'll see how that's going to go. And then just sort of broadly speaking, thinking a little bit about what draws inspiration for these characters. Obviously, the WWE is scripted, but Rhea, you saying you draw inspiration from bands. Taker, you said something along the lines of you studied horror. And then Kofi, just knowing those little nuggets of what gets parts of the audience excited, whether it's kung fu or something else, is a testament to how much work you all do yourselves as professionals in conjunction with the WWE. Thank you so much for the WWE for making this happen. Thanks to South by for giving us this awesome opportunity to talk to you. And thank you all so much for joining today.